Okay, so let me show you two different things. So here we are. Can everybody see my screen?
Yep.
Okay. So yeah, here is the current blue materials library that everybody is linking to inside of their projects. As you can see, it's on the S drive, so you people in Waltham, you might not have experienced any issues, but for us in San Francisco, and I assume for people in Ann Arbor who have slow S drive access, trying to open your material palette inside of Revit is slow because it has to read this file every time. The other drawback to having it here and having everybody linked into it is if there are any projects that are open that link to this library, I can't move anything into that library. So what I've been doing, which I would prefer not to do, is I'm up at midnight when I know all of you on the East Coast are asleep or usually are asleep. I go in there and I move things in there so that as you look at it the next day, everything's in there. But everything has to be closed out, and I would prefer not to spend too many nights up at midnight transferring materials because that definitely makes me want to go to sleep. So the solution that I'm proposing, which I think is going to help a few things, is I'm going to keep a new library, this is sort of the same as the old library, and I've just added a date to it to add sort of a versioning system so you know which version of the library you're using. And you'll take this file and copy it onto your local drive. So let me just show you. So on my desktop, this Revit files folder, this is where I store all of my local project files. And inside there I have projects, and this probably looks sort of familiar. You have your backup folders, and then these are all of your project files that you're working on. I created another folder within that one called support files, and then copied this blue material library from the S drive into my support files. So it's sort of like making a local version of this central file. It doesn't sync up the same way that they do, but the idea is you just do a copy and paste, and then you have this on your local drive rather than having it on the S drive, so that when you open up your material editor inside of a project, just get a project open and show you, it goes a lot faster. All right, while that's opening, the other thing that I have inside this support files folder on my local drive is I've created a new shared material library, and this is what we're going to use to transfer materials that you modify inside of your projects back into this main library. So once it opens, the idea is that you would create a new library for each project that you work on as you modify your the materials in your project. You would save them to this library, and then at some sort of point, whenever you get done with the project, or whenever you're done doing the material editing, you would take this material, move it back into the S drive, and then shoot me an email or somehow let me know that you've moved that back into this folder. I'll open it up and I will move those materials into this standard file. And because you guys are all going to be working on, you're going to be linked into the file which is on your local drive and not in the one which is on the S drive, I can do this at a reasonable hour. And then after I make a new one, if there's another version, I can say, okay, I've added a bunch of materials in there. You guys can go in, grab this material library again, and it'll have the new date. Copy that back into your local drive, and then you'll link again to that local file when you've updated that to the new version. So I think this will solve a couple of issues in terms of our material updates. Easier for me, easier for you guys. Everything goes a little bit faster. And that system of exporting materials I've already used on sort of a limited basis as people have been going through generally the BOM stuff and updating materials. So you can see these are a handful that people have created, and I actually just moved all of these into that shared material file last night. And so I think this is in a fairly good state right now. I went through and checked off things in the Revit inventory whenever I moved them in. So everything looks like it's green with the exception of a couple down here. I'm not sure what these are supposed to be, so I need to do a little bit of research. And then for some reason I don't have that one. And then there's these combination ones, which are sort of a special case because of Anderson stuff that we can ignore for now because of the IQ stuff. So I think our library is in a pretty good state. I think this is a pretty good and easy to use system. So yeah, if you can start doing that, that would be really helpful for me. So I'll just show you how to load those in case you've forgotten. Under your Manage tab, click on Materials, and this point right here, when I was linked to that file in the S drive, it would honestly take me like a minute or two to open this because it's a fairly it's like 6 megs, but 6 megs on the S drive for San Francisco is pretty slow. But you can see it opened up immediately now, which is really nice. And here you go. There's that material library that I have. This is the one. You can see it's on Users, My Name, Desktop, Revit. So that's the local version. And then this is that project file or the project library that I made. The way that you do that is go down here to your little starburst. And you can say Open Existing Library and then navigate to that local directory, that support file directory. Desktop, Revit, support files. So there you go. Just select that one, hit open, and then it'll show up in that browser. And then to create a new one, it's a similar process. You just go down here and say create new library, save it wherever you want to save it, and then it'll show up there. And the way that you move materials in here, so this is a little bit confusing at first if you're not sure how it works. Anything below this line, all of this stuff down here, these are the materials that are in each of these individual material libraries. Everything above that line, these are materials that are loaded into your project. So to get materials from your project into your project-specific file, so if you've modified a material, added information to it, added a BOM lookup if it didn't have one of those, and you want to get that back into the main one, you just go up here, select, drag and drop, and now it's saved inside that that material file that you created. Alternately, if you want to load one from blue materials into your project, just select the blue material and then hit this little up arrow, and that loads it into your project. So that's the way of moving them back and forth, creating new material libraries, and loading the existing one.
Hey Luke, can you merge or replace a material from the library into your project?
Yes, sorry, I was on mute so that we didn't get feedback. But yes, you can. So let's do that real quick. Let's modify this one just as a demonstration. So again, here's all of your BOM information. Let's say I had an older version of this material where the BOM number wasn't inside of it. So now that's an old material, and I want to move the new one from blue materials up here. So aluminum design within reach, move that up, and it gives you the option, do you want to replace the existing material? Do you want to keep both? If you say keep both, I think it renames it the same name and then has like a parentheses 1 inside of it, or you can just cancel. But if you say replace, brings it up, and now it's here, and you can see there's the information that was in the shared material library.
So if I had a material that just said aluminum, and then I know it needs to be replaced with like this aluminum design within reach thing, I should go into the one that I have in my project, rename it to be exactly what the library name is, and then move it up, and it's going to replace it.
I think that would work. The only danger in doing that is if you have, there are a lot of different aluminums. So if you have your aluminum material assigned to both architectural grills and to design within reach furniture, you're going to end up with design within reach aluminum applied to your architectural grills, which isn't correct. So
Yeah. I'm just worried about what I don't want to have to do is import a new material and then go through my entire model and change the material of, let's say, like cedar siding to the new cedar siding. You know what I mean?
right,
I want
yeah.
to do it in one swoop, right? Obviously, if I have different ones, then I want to be a little more careful. But if I know that I have an old spec or old material, and you've updated yours, I just want to do it in one go.
Yeah, so in
I
that
think
case,
I think I
then
get it.
yeah, you would want to rename it to be the exact same name. It's sort of like loading families. If the family and the family type are named exactly the same, it will do the overwrite, whereas if they're a little bit different, it won't. So yeah, that would be a good method for doing it, is first rename your existing materials, and that way it'll automatically overwrite and you won't have to go through and manually select and change out your properties inside your individual objects and all that sort of stuff. So yeah, that's a good point. But yes, I would say that would be the method for doing that.
Hey, Luke.
Yeah?
Um, just a quick tip. Don't ever use an ampersand in a material name and then drag it into a library, because it will completely corrupt the library.
That is a very good tip, and I don't really want to know how you found that out. Yeah, I'd never even considered that, but thank you.
Yeah, I was making the heat and glow materials and corrupted my own library.
Oh, right, heat and glow.
Yeah.
Gotcha. Okay, yeah, good to know. The other advantage of doing this versioning system is that if something like that does happen and we accidentally blow up our material library, which I think has happened once before and we were sort of able to recover it, but yeah, just having a little bit of a backup would be nice. So yeah, any other questions about that? Does that sound like a fairly good and easy system for you guys to use?
Sounds good.
All right, sweet. All right, what's next on the agenda? Yeah, maybe we'll talk about schedules in a bit. I don't really have anything to show. I just really I wanted to have a discussion with you guys about what you're using right now and how to replace them and what support you guys need in order to do that. But yeah, let's do Ryan, if you want to show your faceplate families first, then we'll just open it up to general questions and hopefully have a little bit of talk about scheduling.
Okay, that sounds good.
All right. Who do I need to transfer control to? There is
Called just AA.
AA. All right.
Okay, can everyone see my screen?
Yep.
Okay, so this is the new receptacle quad family that was on a Trello board. Basically, we've changed up all the receptacle families and the combo data ports families to be almost identical to the switch families, where we have the faceplate is the general family, and then the receptacles are nested within that family. So I'll go up here and show you guys sort of the parameters. Oh man, that's small. Bear with me, I'm using this weird mouse. So okay. So you can see, just like our switches, we have checkboxes for receptacle 2 and receptacle 1. As you change them, the annotation will change out there. So you see waterproof shows up. And similarly with the combo ports, I've created a combo port that allows a receptacle to be next to a switch or a data port next to a receptacle. So in this one, port 1 can either be a data port or a receptacle, and port 2 can either be a switch or a receptacle. So obviously you could have a receptacle next to a receptacle in this family, but it's better to use the more simple family for that one, the 2-gang receptacle. This one allows you to have the data port and then the switch, or the data port and then the receptacle. If nothing is checked on either side, then the standard receptacle is used. So you can see that's an automatic check there. Similarly, in the 2-gang receptacle family, if nothing is checked, it's the standard receptacle. So it doesn't show up here on the checklist, but if I uncheck both of them like this, it's the standard receptacle. You see the annotation there. So for the annotations, the way they work, they're all linked to parameters within the family. For the text, the annotations, line 2 should be used for mounting height or dishwasher, things like that. Line 3 is also available, and the circuit, which is this question mark on the side here, that's also linked to the family. So in a second, I'll show you how, like, a reloading process into a project that has the old receptacle family, and how to best go about switching them all out and getting them coordinated with the types that you need. But you can see here that switch 1 circuit is instance parameter as well as switch 2 circuit. More than likely, they'll both be on the same circuit, so you really only have to fill in one. But yeah. So let me go here, since the most common. Oh, before I do that, we also have a separate family for the floor and ceiling box receptacles now, which we also have a 2-gang one for. Just for ease of the meeting, I won't show that, but it's the same process, really. They have different symbolic lines for the protected cover, and the annotation, it has that box around it. Now, these families, I spoke with Laura, and these come all as, like, the whole system, the receptacle, the faceplate, everything together, whereas for BOM purposes in the other ones, we order the receptacle and the faceplate separately. So this isn't a nested family like the new ones. But these also give the option, the model geometry is on a separate category, which you can see here. So that allows you to hide the model geometry in your visibility and graphics overrides in your project, so that only the annotation shows up because when you see it in plan. Otherwise, it looks funny. So here I'll go to the new 1-gang faceplate receptacle family, set up just like a 2-gang one, and I'm going to load it into Terumians, which went out for BOM procurement last week, so I'm not worried about messing anything up, and it still has the old receptacles. So now what I want to do is overwrite the shared subcomponent, which is the receptacle family that used to include the faceplate and its parameter values. not set up the server.
Load time during a meeting always feels like it takes 3 times as long as if you're just working by yourself.
Yeah, no, it started before.
Okay.
Didn't have it on.
Yeah. Okay, there we go. So now I'm going to go into the electrical plan. And you can see here that all my receptacles changed to just the insert. Now, the easiest, Andrew Daly did this today, so we figured out the easiest way to change them all to the new family is to select all the instances. Oh, it's just that type though. So you'll have to do it for the different types, but you select all the instances and you go up here and change it to the new faceplate one gang receptacle family. And now select this one and come down here and uncheck that, and it's back to the standard. And you can click on this and fill in your circuits. So this receptacle is circuit B10, so we'll fill that in. And then we can delete this old node. Now, you'll have to do that for all the different types of the receptacles in your project, but obviously you want to select all the instances before you change anything so that it does them all at once. So yeah, that's the new receptacle family. I hope it makes it easier for us in terms of BOM process, things like that. They seem to work all right. I'm going to load the 2-gang combo real quick and show you guys some of the combinations you could do. Okay, so I know in Terumians we have a situation in the breeze space where there is a receptacle next to a data port. So I'm going to load in, or I'm going to place the new family. I'll show you guys how this works. Okay, so now we can essentially get rid of this guy and this guy because we have a double gang with standard receptacle on one side and the data cable port on the other. The only thing we ran into today with this is some of the circuit annotations overlapping. So what I did was I deleted the circuit part from the data cable port annotation so that okay. So and all right. Now this is circuit A13. Oops. That shows up there. Standard receptacle. It also gives the option for annotation spacing similar to the switches, and which is here. So if I make this 4 inches, they get closer, and the annotation offset, we'll move them over. Yeah, that's the gist of it. Port 1 shouldn't have. So if I do this, if I try this, if I fill in port 1 circuit, yeah, nothing will show up because the data cable port annotation is not there, not linked anymore, so that you only have 1 circuit annotation with just double gain. Any questions?
I don't have any. That looks really great, Ryan.
Okay, cool. And like I said, the line 1 is linked to the type of the, so like port 1 line 1 is DC right now. Port 2 line 1, if I change the port 2 to be whatever that is, that wouldn't happen, but it's inside. But nope, that's probably the recess. Oh, that's something else. Come on, where is it? All right, I can't read what these types are in this little tiny window, so it's going to be hard. Oh, that's why, because there's 2 links. There we go. So now you can see line 1 is dedicated to the type. Not sure why the DC is showing up there, but and then you can go into port 2 line 2 and add like a plus 30 or whatever if it's up. Oh man. Yeah. Thanks for the heads up. All right, that's all I have. Real quick, I'll just load in the floor ceiling box and show you how to hide the model geometry in case anyone forgot. What? Oh. So here's that. You see the floor ceiling box with the annotation and everything. Go into view, visibility graphics. Don't ever save when you're in the middle of something. And then, where am I? Electrical fixtures, model geometry. Okay. Oh, the penetration is showing up, but you can hide that through the same process. All right. Now it should just be the annotation. Yep. Hooray. Okay, that's all I have.
Along those lines, I'm having trouble doing the opposite, like hiding annotations, having the geometry show up, which I think only really comes into play with the electrical panel, where we might want to be showing that on regular floor plans.
Right. Yeah, I don't have a ready answer for that, but because I know you can't assign annotations to a subcategory, or at least I don't think you can. So for those families, we may just have to add a checkbox for show annotations, and you can just turn that off in whatever those families are.
Okay.
So yeah, but if it's one or two families that we need to do that for, then that would be pretty easy. Yeah, could you check and see if you can assign that a subcategory?
Yeah, I'm trying right now.
Yeah.
Doesn't look like it.
Yeah, I didn't think you could. So yeah, we'll have to come up with we'll have to make an instance parameter, which is a yes/no parameter to control that visibility, because you can't assign it to a layer. And we can do that for everything, and it can just be by default on. But if there's only a handful of families that we need to update to get that functionality working, then we should do it that way.
Yep. Sounds good.
Could you add that to the Trello board and just make a list of which families we need to update?
Yeah, sure.
Okay, thanks.
With the ability to hide the annotation, you mean?
Yes.
Okay, yeah. I'll make a checklist.